Hey guys, it's Forsaken Reality here with the 55th episode of the RPG tutorial series. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you get notified on all future tutorial uploads. In this one, we're going to be looking into our AI perception and if our AI can see and if they can't see our player. So for now, right now, you'll notice that a few of them are locked onto our player, but if we go out of the perception radius, they stop looking at us. But if we come back into reception, they will continue looking at us. And if we're behind them, they won't notice us until we come in front of them again. And there's different ways of setting that up. You can set it up so that they wait until it ends, and they will look away from you, so they don't instantly look away from you, basically. And I'll show you how to adjust those settings. It's pretty easy to do. So without further ado, we will begin setting this up. Just going to drag this project out. And from here, we're going to, first thing, we're going to want to open up our blueprints character and our master character. I'm just going to add a component here so that our AI can pick up our character. I'm just going to call AI perception stimuli source. And we're going to take this on and turn on the sight sensing. And that's all we need to do for this. We're going to go to our AI and we will do our stop focus on players. And also in the last one we did a focus on player, but we're going to need a stop focus on player for when we go out of sight, basically. So we're going to go into our behavior tree, new task, and the blueprint base. Just going to click browse, drag that into my tasks folder. And it's just going to be stop focus on player. Like that. Then we can open this up. And we're going to override the receive execute. And we're simply just going to drag out of our controller, set focus, and we're going to leave this blank so that it resets the focus. And we're going to finish execute to make sure to tick this on success. So I'll stop the focus on the player. And now in our behavior tree, actually before we do this, we're going to want to set up a few things in our controller. So we want to go to our AI controller. And in here, we're going to add a component, AI perception. And we're going to set one sense to sight. Now we're just using the sight. You can also use hearing and touch and things like that. And drop this down, sense. And we will detect neutrals and friendlies as well. And scroll down to here to on target perception updated and click the plus to add that. So that when our perception is updated, basically when an actor comes into sight, this is when we're going to be doing something to determine if our character is in sight or not. And after this will adjust things within our behavior tree. So we're going to cast to character. And we're going to use a tag system to do this. So that we'll be able to check tags on the player. And for each loop, So we're going to loop through player tags in case you have other tags. It's going to check for a specific tag. And the way we're going to do this is we can do a switch in case you want multiple tags to be checked. And this, you can do different things depending on each tag that's written in here. So for example, you can have your player, and this will set your site, and you can have your AI, and set those both capitals. And you can do something else depending on if your player has a AI tag, or your AI, any character, because your AI is also a child of your character class. So any character that has the AI tag, it can do something from here. For now, we're just going to deal with the player. And I'm just going to write a print string in case in the future you forget to set a tag on something. And I'm going to write the name of the blueprint so you know where it's to. So now you know that there's a no tag set in the player character if it ever runs through here. And we're going to drag out set blackboard, or set black. Oh yeah, we have to get blackboard. And from here, we're going to set value as Boolean, because we're going to want to get a Boolean value if we can or can't see the AI. And we're just going to drag over here and write in make literal name. This will create the name for the Boolean. And the name we're going to use is case sensitive, so make sure you write it exactly the way it's written everywhere else. So B can see target. And in here, we're going to want to go to our blackboard, create a new Boolean called can see target, spelled exactly the same way. And we're also going to want to determine if this is true or false. And the way we do this is drag out of our stimulus and breaks AI stimulus. And we can take our successfully sensed and plug it in here. So basically, if our AI successfully sensed our player, meaning we're in the 90-degree visual in front of the player, then it will run true. Otherwise, it will run false. Just gonna try to organize this a little bit here. Comment this loop through tags on player. Check for the player tag. Set the value in the blackboard for the Boolean. See target. And I'm just going to bring this up like this. Reorganize this stuff. There we go. So now we have it setting if our character can or can't be seen, but we also want to set a tag on our player, and this is how we would do this. You just click your self-reference right here, tag, add a tag, player. Now our master character has a player tag, so this will come true when we are in the site of the AI. And I believe that's all the setup there we need to do in here. We're going to make a few changes to here. We're going to do a selector. And I'm just going to... Yeah, actually, I'll just drag this over like this. So this sequence is over here. And this will be not moved to random location anymore. And I'll be the focus on player. And it'll also, if you don't want it to move, for example, you can always hold Alt and break this, and now it'll just focus on the player. Or you'd also want to break this too. So now it's with these two, it's just focusing on the player and rotating. And I'll show you different methods to do that. I'll set up a enum so you can check between your different types of AI. Say you'll have your civilian AI that'll randomly roam around and won't look at your player, your combat AI, which will look at your player, and your store clerks, which will just rotate and look at your player but won't actually move, for example. For now, we're just setting up all our functions so everything works correctly. So we have our selector. We'll just plug this in right here. And this is how we're going to use, I'm just going to make another sequence over here. So this one will be focusing on the player, and this one we'll use for just walking randomly. So we want to stop the focus on the player if we are focusing. We want to get a random location, and the radius you can set to whatever. And the BB key you want to set to location, so that's getting a location. And you want to move to that location. So I'm going to come in here and put the location in. And want to wait before it moves to another location. You can set this. And you can set an interval. So it waits 3 plus a -3 seconds. So it can be a maximum of 8 and a minimum of 2 seconds, for example. And anywhere in between there. So basically right now it's running into 2 of these, but we have nothing checking to determine what it should run into. So we add a decorator for our blackboard this way. It creates a decorator above right here. And we can set this to can see target, and it's not set. So if we can't see our target, then this is what will run. And if we can see our target, we'll add another decorator over here. And just make sure set target is set, so we can see our target, it will run into here. And you want to make sure that this is in this order, because it'll run to the left first and then go to the right. You'll notice that if I took this and move this over here, now this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and these are the end ones. So you want to make, it doesn't really matter too much which side you put these ones specifically on, but that's just something to keep note when you're setting things up. Like, you don't want to move to the location right here. So if you put this first, it'll stop the focus, move to location without even getting the location, and so this will cause an error here because you need to get the location, then move to location, then wait. And then it will keep looping through this. And but if you save this just like this, there's going to be a problem that it's going to get stuck, come down here and get stuck and not come back up to the selector. And the way we can do this is if you select this black board key right here, you'll click your flow control, and on result change, nothing's happening, so it's just staying in here. You can set this to self, which means that it will come back up to the selector and it will run back into them. But if you have a lot of things, you can also set to lower priority, which means it will come up and then we'll go in and try to run through here. After it runs through here, it'll wait and then come back up and then try to run through here. But a good way to do it would be both, so no matter what's happening, so it comes down here and resets, and if it comes into here, it'll reset as well. You notice that they're both glowing with their own color. You can also set this over on here to self, and no matter what, it will reset. And you can play around with these, and this will also, depending on how you set these, this will determine how fast and slow it will go into here, basically. So our AI will wait the 5 seconds and then it will look away, or the second you lose sight, it will look away, depending on how your options are set. And right now, I'm just going to show you an example. Our AI is looking at us, and the second they lose sight, they start wandering away. They gain sight again. And I'm just going to adjust this to self lower priority just to show you some different examples. And you can see our AI isn't instantly doing another option until it does the full wait. So now he's looking at me. Away from the move again. You notice that they aren't snapping away from me, they're still looking, but now they're going to look for me again. You notice that they can't find me. Then they start wandering around randomly again. If they pick up my sight, they'll pick me up again. And that's just something you can keep a note when you're setting up these, but I like to set this to both. This to none, just so it deals with everything in this selector for this Boolean. And that's going to be everything for this one. If you found this video helpful and want to see more, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new tutorial video uploads. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, feel free to leave those in the comment section below or join my Discord community using the link in the description. Thanks, and I'll see you all in the next one.